Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where we are back once again with another tactical preview. And this time we've got a midweek kickoff, which is nice. We haven't got to wait 7 days for the next match. Tonight, of course, we are playing against Ipswich Town. I have had a rough guess already at what I think the team news might be tonight. But of course, for today's stream, we need to go through the Manchester United 11 from the goalkeeper to the back three to the four, and then the front three, of course, as well, and figure out what we feel will be Manchester United's best starting 11 for tonight, and an 11 that gives us the best chance of winning this football match. Now, of course, we are still in a place where we are a little bit limited. There are a lot of players still missing. I don't believe we have anyone back in the team. But yeah, that is the plan for today. Before we get into any of that, please do get in the chat down below. Let me just quickly sort something. Please do get in the chat below and let me know how you guys are doing. How are you feeling about Manchester United at the moment? How are you feeling about football at the moment? How's life? A little bit of everything. So far, we've got Zerg in the chat. Good morning to you, my friend. You get Onana out of that picture, AJ. Maybe. We've also got United versus everybody, which I really like as a username. That is how it should be. United versus the world. No more 90th minute screamers from Hutchinson, please. Be nice, wouldn't it? None of these deflected shots. I do want to talk about that last game against Ipswich because, of course, that was Ruben Amorim's first game. I've actually got the team from that day on a different slide. It's very different to what you would probably expect is going to be Manchester United's team tonight. It's interesting to see how we've changed, how far we've come, but also, in some ways, how far we haven't come. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. Steve, good morning to you, mate. Wait, I'm not home yet. Steve, rush. But safely, of course. Ryan, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're well. What's good, Reds? Good morning. Good morning to you as well, my friend. How are you? Play the academy team, please. Always feels like a decent idea, to be fair. Anthony's suspension being cancelled is more important than this United game, not going to lie. He got cancelled, did it? It was a weird tackle. I don't know if you guys have seen the Anthony red card. I don't really know what he was doing. But good morning to you, my friend Manu. Hope you're well. And also Matt. Hope you guys are all good. Where do we start? Do we start with United this game? What we should do tonight? Do we start with the dreaded league table? The dreaded league table. If Ipswich win, we're 10 points off the relegation zone. We're not getting relegated, right? Right? Like, we're not, I don't think. But all my days, like, why are we even in this conversation? I should not be able to put a screenshot, have the relegation zone in there, and Manchester United be visible, let alone that close. Yeah. So we can talk about that if you want, although I would guess we'd rather not do that. But also I do want to quickly cover this at some point as well, talking about the 11 that we saw last time against Ipswich. I would imagine we will not see a repeat of this starting 11. Johnny Evans. Don't think he'll be playing. Casemiro and Eriksson double pivot. What, have we seen that? Have we seen that once since then in the game against Newcastle, I believe? Marcus Rashford up front. That feels a little bit unlikely. And of course, we've also got injuries in other positions as well. Yeah, Manu, I think I was trying to say rescinded. I think I was trying to say about 7 different words at the same time. I think that was a problem I had there. Josh, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're well. Won't be able to stay long. No worries, my man. The Evans left centre-back masterclass. It was far from a masterclass, if you remember that day. If you remember that day, Amari Hutchinson played on the right-hand side in this position here, and Johnny Evans, if I can find him, was sort of tasked with following him into these areas, and he just could not do it. There were moments where he didn't even try to. He gave himself so much room, and any time he did get tight, Hutchinson absolutely spun him. It was a long old day. We all went into that game with a real sense of anticipation. New manager bounce and all that. I'd argue we still haven't really seen the new manager bounce, which is fun. Anyway, what we need to do today is go through the team and construct a starting 11. The 11 that we think will start this game tonight, but also what we would like to see start this game. And I think, basically, we should try and get a balance between the two. We never saw Evans again. That is a good question. Have we actually seen Johnny Evans since that match? Has he actually played again? I'm not sure. AJ, I slept in this morning and I've missed all my classes today just for this stream. Bobby the Bob, that is dedication, mate. It's arguably a questionable life decision. It's maybe not for the best, but I respect it and I appreciate it very much. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Hutchinson is who I'd now from Ipswich if they go down. Nice player. Really nice player. You've also got Kajusti, who I mentioned last week, which I'm still not convinced that's how you pronounce his name, but he said it, so I guess it is. He's probably injured for this game. Both of their midfielders, Calvin Phillips and Kajusti, went off injured at the weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. So the Ipswich team is a little bit weakened. They've also got suspensions in defence. Twan Zabia is currently suspended. So they are a little bit weaker than what they would normally be. Anyway, let's get to talking about Manchester United, because that's what we're here to talk about. Starting off in goal, Onana versus Bayindir. I think we can talk about what we want in an ideal world. Is Bayindir even fit? I'm not sure. Obviously, we've got the youth goalkeepers as well. We can talk about what we would want, what we would like to do, anything like that. But realistically, Onana's going to play, right? I'm more than happy to have these conversations about, what would you guys like to do? What would you like to do differently? In goal, it's not going to change. Yeah, Bayindir, has he still got the knock? I weren't sure if he did or not. Yeah, Liam Delap's another one to look at. Great player. Really like him. Really like him. Have you seen the Athletic podcast on United under Amorim? I have not, but I do intend to watch it at some point. Bayindir is still out. Evans played the 4-3 versus Spurs game and scored. Was that the cup one? That was a long time ago. It wasn't December, but it feels like a long time ago. Anyway, Onana will play this football match in goal, is what I'm trying to say. In the centre-back positions, it's a little bit more tricky. I believe last time out, we had De Ligt on the left-hand side. We had Harry Maguire in the middle. And let's be honest, he had a shocker. He had an absolute shocker. I mean, I don't think any of the back three played particularly well. De Ligt was caught in no man's land half the time between going wide and staying central. He really struggled. Maguire for the goals. I think both of them, you could look at him a little bit, particularly the second one, I think it was, just doesn't deal with it at all. Makes the wrong decision everywhere, basically. So he had a bad game. Mazraoui on the right weren't too bad, to be fair, although did get a knock. Not ideal. And there are concerns over his fitness for this game. I haven't seen any news as to whether or not he's actually available for not, but there are certainly concerns there. Who else we got? We got Dalot could play in the back three in theory, although we're yet to see it, apart from a 30-minute cameo. We've got Lenny Yoro who could come into the team. We've got Victor Lindelof. I believe apart from that, we're then looking at youth players like Kukonki and Heaven, which is probably a little bit unlikely. Before we continue with that, we've got Chad in the chat with the 14-month membership. 14-month. I believe that 18-month is the next badge, but I'd quite like to make one maybe for 15 months because some of you are getting close to that. Anyway, Chad, thank you as always for the support, my man. Do appreciate it. AJ, I am your father. Please come home, son. Chad, I wonder how many different conspiracies you've started about me in these streams. How many children have I got according to you? I've got about 7 different fathers as well. Wouldn't be Chad without these comments. Guys, you know what to do. Love hearts in the chat. Say thank you for Chad because he might be a little bit random, but he's a legend. He's a legend. Would De Ligt be better suited to look after Delap than Maguire? Possibly. I'm happy to have that conversation for sure. Has Lindelof played even a minute under Amorim? I believe there was a game where he came on. I can't think... I'm sure, because obviously he's had a lot of injury problems, Lindelof. I'm sure there was a game where he came on and got like 20-odd minutes. I could not, for the life of me, tell you what match that was. But I think it happened. Maybe someone can correct me. I'm sure he came on and played like 10-15 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong. Kukonki played like 75 minutes last night, so it won't be him. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you very much for the info. Edwick, good morning to you. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're well. Steve with the 4-month channel membership. I do like that green logo. I like the green on that. The lime green's quite nice. Is Chad really your dad? I cannot confirm nor deny. If Barcelona and Madrid can play young centre-backs when they are competing for the title in the Champions League and other cups, why can't Yoro start now? I think Yoro can start now. I think it's not ideal. Because realistically we like to nurture young centre-backs, and I think it's about choosing to use them rather than being forced to use them where possible. But I think Yoro can start now. He's not going to be perfect. It's a little bit of a case of sort of learning on the job a little bit, if you know what I mean. But I think Yoro is capable of starting. I'm always happy to include him, in these conversations. I'd quite like to see him start in this game. I think particularly if Mazraoui is out, he's one of the only options. We've got Prod RG becoming a new member. Channel Goat. That is what you are now, my friend. Thank you very much. Guys, you know what to do. Love hearts in the chat. Legendary behaviour. Welcome to the gang. You've now got a load of custom emojis you can use in the chat, by the way. Open up your emojis. Have a look. There's some good ones there. We've also got Nev with the 12-month membership as well. Nev, thank you very much, mate. If Chad's the dad, who is the mum? You're going to have to ask Chad that one. I was never told, so you're going to have to ask Chad. Anyway, let's move away from the... talk about whether or not Chad is my father. Should we talk about some defenders? Who do you reckon should start for Manchester United in the back three tonight? What do we reckon? We've got Maguire is definitely going to be in and around the conversation. I would imagine with the lack of options, it is quite likely that we see him. Maybe it's the time to drop him, though. Maybe it's the time to drop him. He didn't play very well at the weekend. He is someone who has had injury problems over the past, 18 months or so. So to play 3 games in a week, is that something that he needs to be doing right now? Don't know. Maybe this is one of those games where De Ligt is a slightly better fit. Where De Ligt comes into that position. It's probably sort of dictated by whether or not Mazraoui is fit. If Mazraoui is fit, we've got a choice to make. We've got a decision. If he's injured, we probably only have 3 centre-backs. Edwick saying that he would go for Yoro left centre-back, Maguire middle centre-back, De Ligt right centre-back. Yeah, so I think if I was a betting man, if my life was on the line, that's the back 3 that I would assume we will see tonight. What am I doing? Where's De Ligt gone? That's the back 3 I would assume, if we had to put money on it. Lindelof played 45 minutes versus Spurs in December. That's it under Amorim. Yeah, Manu mentioned the cup game. Cup game must have been weird. That cup game, it was a weird match, wasn't it? Really odd. Onana, Yoro, De Ligt, Lindelof / Heaven. Possibly. Ugarte, Bruno, Eriksson, Xerxes, Højlund, or Chido Obi. So again, no Garnacho in the starting 11 for Origami. De Ligt, Maguire, Yoro as a back 3, says Josh. What way round is that? Is that De Ligt to the left or is that De Ligt to the right, mate? Maguire slows everything down. Dropping him would do marvels for our speed of attack. You know, I'm someone who likes Maguire, right? I think he's a good player. I'm one of his bigger fans, and I always have been. Even in that period when everyone hated him, even then I thought he was actually a good centre-back, just going through a rough patch. The weekend was bad, though, and he does have drawbacks. No matter how good you think he is as a footballer, and like I said, I rate him highly, he does have obvious weaknesses. And I think the problem you always get is the fact that they're obvious. It's not like how can we possibly get at Maguire? What could his weakness be? It's pretty obvious, right? You know what you're targeting. You know the situations you want to try and get him into to beat him. It does become a problem at times. I think, like you've mentioned there, one of the problems that probably isn't discussed enough is that whilst he is a tremendous ball progressor, he's great at carrying the ball forward, and he's also genuinely a brilliant progressive passer. His tempo still is poor, and always has been. Is that something that is gonna change? Is that something that Amorim can help him with over the next 12 months or so? I don't really know, to be honest. I'd lean towards maybe not. I don't know. But is this one of those games where you bring him out? You know, could you go for that back 3? Interestingly, in Amorim's first game against Ipswich, which was Amorim's literally first game at the club, Maguire didn't play. I believe he was injured at the time. But it was Mazraoui right centre-back on that occasion. It was De Ligt in the middle. Is there a chance we see something similar? Possibly. I think, like I've said already, the structure in front of them would be quite different, or the personnel would be different. But I don't know. I think realistically, you know, I don't think Maguire was good at the weekend. Realistically, I would imagine he will play, because we do still have just the fundamental squad issue that we're not very good physically. Maguire does help us in that department, so I would imagine. I would imagine he will play. Does anyone massively disagree with that? And if someone does massively disagree with that, fair enough. Who would you go for instead? Do we believe in the fitness of Mazraoui? I'm not sure that he's available. I don't actually know. David, good morning to you, my friend. How are you? I hope you're well. I had it like that on the board, De Ligt right centre-back. Yeah, I think it's most likely. We've seen Yoro play this position several times now in the back 3. I think that is where he would be most likely to play. And is he maybe most suited to playing up against Hutchinson? There's also a chance Hutchinson plays in the middle. Is something we've got to consider. And let's look at that for a moment. That looks potentially worrying. It will make Manu happy if he's dropped, so he definitely needs to start. Yeah, I respect that. Maguire lacks mentality in both boxes. I'm about to sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. Sneeze. It's on the way. I'm just ready for it. Ready. The sneeze is going to be here any second now. I think we're good. It's going to come out of nowhere, and I do apologise. I don't think he's a progressive passer. He just plays that same diagonal pass, doesn't punch it into the midfielders in the pocket at all. For me, that's more of a tactical limitation that we've got at the moment with Maguire. If you've watched Maguire for England, he's actually a very good progressive passer. One of England's best at actually working it from the deep positions through the lines. It was actually something that England really lacked last summer, that lack of progressive passer from deep. Maguire is a good progressive passer. We don't actually kind of tactically make up for it. Anyway, the comment I was reading, Maguire lacks mentality in both boxes. Never attacks the ball either to clear it or try get a header. Always on the back foot. It's an interesting observation. I don't know if I agree with it or not. Lacks mentality in both boxes. Never attacks the ball either to clear it or try get a header. Always on the back foot. I will say in terms of the both boxes comment, particularly the attacking box, it does feel like he should be more of a weapon. I know he's popped up with a few goals over the past few seasons, but it does feel like he should be more of a weapon. Perhaps that's more of a team structural issue on the set pieces. Do I think he lacks mentality in our box? I don't think he does. I think maybe there's a concentration thing sometimes, but I don't know that that's a... Maybe it's concentration. I'm not sure. By the way, guys, David has just made a brilliant suggestion in the chat, and I'm going to pin this to the top so you can have a look. There is a second AJ channel launching, hopefully tomorrow. I'm just kind of hoping a result sort of goes in my favour tonight. But there is a second channel launching, so basically on the second channel, it's AJ Talks Tactics, not just talking about United. So we're going to be talking about football more generally speaking. That's actually how this channel started. I used to never talk about United. I would talk about everybody else. How things changed. But the second channel, yeah, we are going to be talking about different teams. So we're going to start off by looking at Nottingham Forest. We'll cover random matches, random Champions League games. So if you are interested in not just United, but football generally, click that link at the top of the chat. It would be really, really appreciated. It would also be really, really appreciated if you could leave some green love hearts in the chat for David, because once again, he is in there. Oh, it's moved in the chat. There it is. He is in there gifting memberships to the boys. What an absolute legend. David, thank you very much. As always, legendary behaviour. Chat is very handsome right now. It is indeed. It is indeed. You need an antihistamine pre-stream? I had one, I swear. I had one. I think there's a chance De Ligt is central centre-back. I think maybe. Again, if we're looking at what I've still got highlighted right now. Maguire in that situation, I'm not sure. Hutchinson in that right half space is a worry. It is. I think realistically it will be, I would guess it would be that three. And like I said, if no one has any massive issues with that, we'll move forward to the midfield. Maguire, great progressive passer, question mark. Go watch him for England, please. Please, 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 please. When we assess a player, right, let's look at the environment and also how they've operated in different environments in the past before we jump to conclusions. Feels like a good idea when we're talking about footballers, right? Something to consider. You don't have to if you don't want to, don't mate? You don't have to. Video idea for Sunday morning, how Exeter City destroyed Northampton. Seems unlikely, mate. Seems unlikely. If Amorim knows ball, he will go with De Ligt at central centre-back. Like I said, the question is, do we have an option? Is Mazraoui fit? Because I wouldn't mind this back three for this game. Like I said, if Maguire doesn't play well enough, I don't have an issue with bringing him out of the team. Let's get De Ligt in the middle and go with that. But if Mazraoui isn't even fit, then the discussion is null and void, really, and it will be that back three. So it's a little bit of a difficult one to discuss unless we've got some different team news. Anyway, midfield time. We've got a few options here. They're not amazing, right? Let's make that clear. But we do have a few options. Josh, sorry about that, man. Maybe one day. Maybe if they get promoted. Anyway, options in midfield. Bruno Fernandes. Nice. Ugarte. Nice. Okay, we don't have many options at all, really. Casemiro. Played a couple of games recently. He's an option. Yeah. Christian Eriksen, I believe, is available for this game. He's an option. Okay, we don't have many options. I thought we had a few here. We don't, because Sekou Kone, I believe, played last night for the youth team. Question mark. Kobbie Mainoo still out, injured, of course. Collier, injured? Ill? Injured? Not sure. To be fair, we haven't even considered Aiden Heaven. Yeah, I did say or like a youth centre-back is the other option. I think it's probably just a little bit unlikely at this moment in time, but maybe. Yeah, David, that's a good idea. Let me pin that instead. All right, guys, there's a new pinned message at the top of the chat. It is a link to the Discord server and the second channel. So check out both. Why not, right? Why not? Don't worry, David, you won't be banned. You'll avoid it. You'll avoid it. The problem is Onana, he's not agile, and he palms the ball far enough. The rebounds are killing us. I do agree, he's not dealing with these things well enough. Guys, by the way, if I see repeat spam messages in the chat, I'm just not going to read them out. If I see a message, I try to read out as many as possible. You guys can see that. If you're spamming it repeatedly, I'm not going to. Okay, a little bit of patience. I try and get through the messages. Okay, what do we reckon with the midfield too? Realistically, for me, we need some mobility because, like I said, last time we went and played Ipswich with that Christian Eriksen and Casemiro. And I said on the day I would never want to see this double pivot ever again in my lifetime. Unfortunately, we have. We saw it against Newcastle and we got battered. But please, no. Please, 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 no. Not the two of them. Maybe one of them. Maybe you guys can convince me. Although, I'll be honest, my instinct is Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes, two midfielders that can move. That's my instinct for this game. If you can convince me why Casemiro should come in instead, I'm happy to hear you out. And the same for Christian Eriksen. If you could make a case for him playing, I'd love to hear it. But, yeah, come on. Come on. Ipswich were a team that physically really hurt us last time. We couldn't match their intensity. Technically, they looked good, and obviously we were new to the system and things like that, but they really hurt us. Now, like I said, they're not at full strength. They do have a couple of injuries or a couple of uncertainties in there. But can anyone really make a case for anything other than these two? Can anyone really make a case? Perhaps you particularly go for Ugarte to the left-hand side to help with Hutchinson in these moments. I think Yoro is someone who struggles a little bit with the jump. At the moment, the timing of the jump out to engage a little bit higher. So we probably need Ugarte's extra assistance in there. I'm looking at De Ligt again and thinking that extra bit of recovery pace. Not sure. Every team looks more intense than us. I completely agree, and that's a squad issue. That's a squad building issue for the last 10 years. We're not intense. Eriksen at 10? Yeah, I'm more happy for that sort of conversation. I think that's a little bit easier to kind of facilitate in the team. I think it's a bit easier for us to achieve. The only case I have for Casemiro alongside Ugarte, I like this, Dan, is that you get Bruno back in his number 10 and let him be a goal threat and bring Garnacho off the bench. Yeah, I like that. That's what I like to see. Someone bring in the other side of the argument. And it is a fair point. Casemiro, whilst he isn't the most intense player I've ever seen in terms of ground coverage and things like that, he is experienced. He does know what he's doing, even if he's got physical limitations. It does allow Bruno to go a little bit higher. And we saw the other day, when Bruno can combine with someone like Dorgu, it did give us something different, something we haven't had in recent weeks. So there is that argument. I think... Do we need a poll for this? I think we do need a poll for this. I just don't know how to do it. Should we... Do we need a poll, or is it just these two? Is it just these two? I think it might just be these two. Right. See you later, Josh, mate. Have a good one. I liked Bruno next to Dorgu. Yeah, I think some of the link play there was actually really nice, really effective, some of the work those two were doing. But like I said, defensively, do we need to worry about Hutchinson? Not sure. Glenn, good morning, mate. How are you? How are you? Good to have you in the chat. Casemiro knows what he's doing. I think Casemiro knows what he's doing. He just doesn't always know how to do it, right? He struggles, you know. If you've been around the channel a while, you will know I've been quite critical of Casemiro, particularly last season. This season, I've decided to be a little bit kinder to him. You know, new year, new me. But he does frustrate a little bit. Does frustrate me a little bit. Ugarte against smaller teams is kind of pointless. He can't pass at all, and we will have the ball. See, in theory, I would agree with that. I think it's easy to go United versus Ipswich. United should dominate. It's about, can we break the low block? What we saw last time we played Ipswich was a team that pressed us and we couldn't really get out that regularly. If you remember that game, we were sort of stuck. We didn't get much of the ball in that match. Of course, that was away, so it's a little bit different. Will Ipswich be more cautious away from home? Possibly. I don't know. But I don't think it's a guarantee or a certainty that this is one of those matches where the opposition, sit deep and let us have the ball. Because teams know we're vulnerable. That if you do press us, we've got mistakes in us that you can overturn the ball and actually hurt us. McKenna, the Ipswich manager, is intelligent. He's adaptable. He's versatile with his tactics. He's flexible. He might look at us and go, they're really poor playing out from the back, so let's press them from minute one and get really tight, really physical with them, follow them all over the pitch. So it's difficult to say, really. I don't really know what sort of game this is going to be. I'll be honest, I'm not that confident for tonight, which is just crazy to say. The margins are as thin as they've ever been in the Premier League. I completely agree. I think there are certain teams, right? Realistically, Arsenal are going to rock up at most players and dominate the ball because they are just better than most teams. But teams like us who don't have a clear edge over other teams, I think so many of these can be 50-50 matches. So many of them. Ipswich will come out fast and press us. They're desperate at the moment. That's the thing also. They need points, right? They are absolutely fighting for their lives down there. They're on 17 points. They need wins. It depends what McKenna thinks is the best method to get the win here. Does he think it's better to sit deep and hit us on the transition, where they've got threats, they've got pace in that attack? Or does he want to come dominate the ball, come press us, turn the ball over high? I don't know. I don't know what Ipswich are going to do. I couldn't sit here and tell you that I've watched a lot of them, to be honest. So, yeah. Can we do something attacking-wise from our right-hand side? I talked about this on Discord yesterday. We should try to exploit Davis's aggressive nature if he tries to go forward often, as he often does. Completely agree. Leif Davis is someone that likes to fly forward. He's a left-back, but he wants to attack. Is there a space that we can attack there? And I think it's something we need to consider with the next point. The wing-backs, which I know is something that you mentioned yesterday, David, but also the inside forwards. So let's go to the wing-backs. Let's go to the wing-backs and have a quick talk here. I think in terms of team selection, we don't have too many options, but perhaps we can talk about the dynamic and how they actually function in terms of position. On the left-hand side, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to say Dorgu, right? Everyone's going to say Dorgu. I think that's fair to assume. My only question would be, Dorgu, Yoro, same side. Is there a lack of experience there? Do you move the Ligt over to help out? Let me know what you think, if there's anything in that. But I think Dorgu will play on the left. On the right, this is where there's more questions. Now, we've got Diogo Dalot. Played a lot of football as a wing-back. Has recently played as a right wing-back. So he's definitely, probably, most likely in terms of probability. We've got Mazraoui, who, since Amrim came in, has been the most frequent right wing-back. So he could play. But also, something that David was talking about yesterday in the Discord server, which, join the Discord server, Garnacho. Is it time that we experiment with Garnacho? Is it a game where, like Steve has just said, the weak foot wing back, Dorgu to the right, and then one of these right footers here to the left? Is it time we do that? I don't know. Now, when David put it in the Discord yesterday, he said, is it time that we play Garnacho wing back? And my instinct was sort of, I just don't think it works. I just don't think it works. Garnacho's a wing back. I've said kind of really from the start, I don't think it works under Amrim. It's not my ideal. But then I thought, does Dalot work? Has Mazraoui worked? It's easy to sit here and go, Garnacho's not a wing back. He can't play a wing back. But I don't know that Dalot's a wing back, and I don't know that Mazraoui's a wing back either. So is this the time where we go, let's try Garnacho there? Let's try Garnacho there. We could even go Garnacho over here, Dorgu to the right, to get Garnacho at least on his stronger side, the side he prefers. What do you guys reckon? Quality man mark and jump from Clark there. He did. He tracked him all the way. All three of them all the way. Fair play to the lad. I think Yoro and Dorgu's fine. They're both physical. Yeah, I would imagine they'd be alright. Again, Yoro's got that sort of temperament that I don't think he's going to be, rash without an experienced player near him. So I think he'll be alright. I do just, like I said, have that concern that Yoro sometimes get that timing wrong, but Dorgu's got a good bit of recovery pace about him, so maybe it works out. Mazraoui, don't think he's back. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. I would guess he's not. So I'd imagine it's Dalot or Garnacho. It's not ideal, but we don't have ideal solution right now. Yeah, that's sort of the thought process I went to eventually. Like I said, my instinct was like, it just don't work. But then when I was kind of a bit more open to it and really thought about it, does what we're currently doing work? It's a conversation to have for sure. Problem with Garnacho at wing-back is we then have one less option in the 10 and 0 impact from the bench. Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point that we, like I said, do have less options here, but also less impact. I guess, for example, if you were happy to go Casemiro in midfield, you could go for Bruno, maybe Xerxes Højlund, like we saw last game. Maybe we'll come back to that shortly. I personally probably still wouldn't go Garnacho wing-back, but I'll tell you what I would do in a second. I probably wouldn't go wing-back, I don't think. Maybe you guys disagree though. Should we do a poll? We haven't had a poll yet today. I don't think. Let's get a poll going. Let's get a poll going. Right, wing-back. We have Garnacho and Dalot. those are the two options. We're going to assume Mazraoui is injured because that's sort of what we've done in the back three. So Garnacho or Dalot. Bosh. Bosh, bosh, bosh. He never did much here, but I reckon Pellistri could have been a rogue shout for wing-back. He could play so tight to the line. Yeah, he actually played there a couple of times for Uruguay, I believe. Sure, he played in that position. Xerxes as a wing-back. He doesn't scream intensity to me. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Very good point, David. Thank you very much. Guys, if you could please leave a like on the stream while you're here, that'd be amazing. So, please press like. If you want to subscribe, get notifications on, join the Discord, subscribe to the second channel as well, which is linked in the chat. Why not? Why not? It's all good help. It helps. I miss Collier. Me too, mate. Me too. Nerdy, good morning, my friend. How are you? Just play a 5-2-3. We're often forced to anyway, to be fair, mate, aren't we? When we get pinned back. And when we're sort of passive. I'm voting... Oh, it's moved. I'm voting Garnacho for this match, just to put more attackers. I do understand it. I think if we're looking at it on a level like, if there's any game we can try it, you would like to think that this is the sort of game where we can, the league position doesn't matter too much anymore. Yes, you get a few extra quid if you finish a little bit higher, but come on. The Premier League season's finished. Maybe this is somewhere that we can experiment a little bit. Like I said, you're playing Ipswich at Old Trafford, where I know we haven't been great. We're not great anywhere. This is a time where we can try something a little bit different. Maybe you do go Garnacho. I don't mind it. This season is an opportunity for experimentation. Exactly. Despite what others might say, in this system we performed best with Ahmad at wing-back. I agree. And have struggled with Dalot playing in that position. Yeah, again, I completely agree. With the Ahmad comparison, the only thing I would say is that perhaps in that case you go Garnacho over here and Dorgu on the right. You do it the other way around. Something to consider. My only issue is if you play Garnacho as a wing-back and we win, people are going to get overhyped, and in the next game we will try and get beat because the better team will expose it. Sorry, I read that wrong, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Again, it's one of those games where you can experiment, but you don't necessarily have to as well. And then even if it does work, next game you can rotate back and try something different. Yeah. The issue playing Garnacho as a wing-back is off the ball. De Ligt and Bruno are the ones that will have to cover for him. Not ideal. Yeah, that's also a really good point, Edwick. I like that. It's about the balance of those around you as well. And like you said, De Ligt, he's not slow, but he's not, your dream ground covering 1v1 defender, is he? And yeah, like you said, Bruno. He plays with intensity, but again, he's not someone who defensively, he can do it. He puts the effort in, but he's not the ideal player to have to be doing it, is he? So yeah, that is a good point to talk about. The players around them as well as the player individually. At the moment, Garnacho is winning the poll with 55%, but it is close. It is close. So guys, make sure you get involved and have a little vote. Basic analysis, look at the system as a 3-4-3. Now just imagine it as a 4-4-2. The only difference is you're taking one defender out and putting him up top. Your wing-backs should be wingers. Yeah, Dan, that's a point I've made a lot. That's a point I've made a lot. That when we look at the 11, sometimes we have an 11 where, under a different manager, you would look at the same team sheet and call it a 4-2-3-1. Yeah, under Amorim, you call it a 3-4-3, even though it's the exact same 11 players. I think it's important. We could play Dalot right centre-back. That's an interesting point. Because if we're kind of almost countering Edwick's point a little bit there about, are we exposing De Ligt too much there? What if we then went De Ligt in the middle, for example, for a bit of mobility there, but also then Dalot as the right centre back? That's an interesting idea. That is an interesting idea. My only concern anytime we lose Maguire is you lose your one who aerially is quite clearly better than the rest. But I guess in the last game he wasn't. In theory he's the best header in the world. But in the games where he doesn't bring us that, then what else is he bringing us? It's an interesting shout. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, guys. Bruno covers ground but lacks the physicality to win the tackles. Yeah, you can never knock the effort and things like that. But yeah, he's not a ball-winning midfielder, is he? And he's never going to be. It's never going to be. I meant to hit Garnacho as right wing back in the poll. Yeah, it's a shame that you can't change it once you've voted, but yeah, it's just like that for some reason. This is an interesting idea. This is a really interesting idea in terms of... I'm just trying to think how you structure the front three. Bruno probably has to go into the front three, right, is the problem. Bruno probably has to go up there, which then means we're going to have someone who physically isn't great there, is probably the issue. Or do we now bring Ugarte to this side because we've got, you know, physically better players there? Could you go for, where is he? Casemiro, something like that? You know, Casemiro played the last game, so he's not out of the question for team selection here. I think a fullback in a 3 is a really powerful tool in the modern game. Yeah, I think... it's weird, right? What is the modern day fullback? What is the modern day fullback? I think that idea between that player that is a centre-back and a fullback, obviously he's just the perfect scenario, like a Gavardi or someone who physically profiles as a centre-back, but in terms of technically on the ball is much more like a fullback and offers you something going forward. I like the idea of trying to get a fullback in the back 3 where possible. Dallow's probably not the dream example of it, just because he is progressive. He is progressive when he's deeper. I don't mind it. Like I said, I think what's a really big weapon with the back 3 is if you can get forward and sustain attacks, which we do in moments, but not all the time, I think then having that creative threat here and here is really useful. Rudiger, when Chelsea were a back 3, Rudiger used to get forward really, really well. He was never a creative player, but just his presence going forward was huge for the way that they played. But also Azpilicueta on the right-hand side, who, of course, previously before that was very often a fullback. Those two in the back 3, giving Chelsea those extra progressive options from the outsides, it was really beneficial to the way that they played. Maybe there's something there for us to try and work with. I've obviously spoken about, you know, ideally we play Mazraoui on the right-hand side because of the extra technical ability he brings. Dalot maybe brings some of the technical, but also keeps the physical as well. You know, what I was looking at in yesterday's video is that as we get forward, again, it's not all the time because United are, of course, inconsistent. But when we get forward, we do sort of use one of the centre-backs, the wide centre-back, a little bit higher. So it can become a bit of like a... Who is it always used to say this? They'd call it like an elbow back 3. I don't know why they called it, but it, you know, it gets that elbow shape. So you've got your 2 here, and then the other one a little bit higher like that. That's what we're using at the moment to try and get that point where we then pick up the ball and then cycle back the other way. Dalot in that spot is now sort of in a right back zone, which does suit him a lot more than the wing back position. There's something here. There is something here. How likely is it? I don't know. I don't know how open Amorim is to experimenting. You know what I mean. So I don't know. Could we see that? Maybe. Like I said, the issue is we probably have to play Casemiro. I think there's something there. And you know what? Garnacho's won the poll, so we're going to put him in there. It brings us a different conversation, which is nice. What a poll, mate. Yeah, Garnacho every day. Sure, not a natural defender, but he'll put in a shift. The what a poll, mate, just sounded sarcastic, but I don't know if it was or not. If you actually think what a poll, thank you very much. I try my best. Martinez used to do that on the opposite for the ball playing. Yeah, that's what I loved about Licha. He obviously started a little bit slow under Amorim, but we were starting to see the benefit of him getting forward into these zones. And I know Martinez is a centre-back, but he's not like your traditional centre-back, is he? He's that mould of centre-back, which is unbelievable on the ball, creative, and actually gives you something in the final third. Maybe we can try and get that from the right with Dalot. I don't mind the idea of it. I don't mind the idea of it. We probably do need to fix the midfield, though. We do need to fix the midfield. Who would you play? Ugarte's got to play. If we're going Garnacho at wing-back, Ugarte's probably got to play. Who would you go in midfield next to Ugarte? So we're going to do that. We're going to do a poll there. So Ugarte, partner. Fernandes is an option, but just consider that we might need him for the front 3. Casemiro, obviously an option as well. Sekou Kone, like I said, I believe, played for the youth team last night, so he won't start. Bruno, Casemiro, who's the other one? Eriksen. There we go. What did I write? Did I write Ugarte partner? I did. Okay, there we go. Poll is in the chat. Have a vote. Have a vote. Have a vote. Swap Garnacho and Dorgu. My only concern with swapping them is because of the front three we're going to have, we are going to end up with a team which is all back inside rather than outside so much. Although Garnacho will look to go down the line in moments. Dorgu, you'd think physically would overwhelm Leif Davis. It's interesting. Go all out for Schlotterbeck in the summer. He is the ideal upgrade. He really is. Bruno deep with Eriksson higher as an inside forward. I like the sound of that. The front five being pacey and dynamic would be great as well. Yeah, certainly in an ideal world, that's what we'd be looking for. I'd like to see Xerxes used as a false 9 and Højlund running beyond him from the 10. I think that's possible. It probably depends on who your other 10 is. You know, if Højlund is one of the 10s, then he's going to offer you more of that running threat. You want the other one to be someone who comes towards the ball. So maybe a Christian Eriksen or a Bruno. Can you please put up the entire 11 formation? What? If Garnacho pushes up, then we technically end up with a back four. So you'd rather... Yeah, I mean, what I like about the idea of this, and I kind of nearly started saying it earlier, but I didn't. If you go Garnacho right, Dorgu left, there is the potential that maybe, I keep asking for this, maybe, and you know what we're seeing in some games, we could actually go to the back four out of possession. Quite naturally. You know, there is no player out of position there. I do like the idea of that from a defensive point of view. Personally. What's the poll saying? Oh, okay. We don't need to go any further with this. Bruno Fernandes is running away with it. Bish, bash, bosh. Oh, you want the start? You want the 11, the formation on the screen? We're kind of building it ourselves as we go. What I'll do is I'll put some blank names in for you so you can visualize it. But actually, the names of the players, that's sort of up to you guys as we go through. Anyway, Bruno, who I've lost. There we go. Comes into midfield there. What way round do they play? That's another discussion to have. What way round do they play? Probably like this. We've got physicality with Yoro and Dorgu, so we can afford for Bruno to perhaps be a little bit weaker. Ugarte, Dalot, Garnacho. I don't know. Ipswich beat Chelsea. Let's not underestimate them. Believe me, as a Manchester United fan, I will never underestimate anyone ever again. I now think everyone is better than us, and just be ready. That's my thought process going into every game these days. Anyway, we just need a front three then. I quite like this team so far. I don't know how it actually plays on the pitch, how well it works. I don't know. We'll have a think about that once we get the next three players. But I like that we've got something a little bit different. We've not seen this back three before. We've not seen this wing-back combination. Something different, isn't it? It's nice to talk about something different. Front three options. No Ahmad, unfortunately. I'm missing. Højlund, Xerxes, Eriksson, Academy. Right? That's probably what we've got. Xerxes, Højlund, Eriksson, Academy. So your Chido-Obis, etc. I don't think there's anyone else. I'm just looking around. Obviously, no Rashford, no Anthony, no Ahmad. Is there someone I'm missing? I don't think so. I think that is it. The question then, if it kind of has to be these three, because I don't think the Academy will start this game. I don't expect to see any of them. How do you line them up? What way round do you line them up? So let's take out the three blank ones. How do you shape up here? Now, you could go Xerxes up top, Højlund off to the side. What side do you pick? You know, because Xerxes could drop deep, potentially drag a centre-back. Højlund gets into the channels, which is where we want to see him. You probably go Højlund left to get that sort of Bruno pass. Where you come up to Dorgu, you set it back into Bruno, and then you can kind of spin in there as Xerxes comes towards. That could be quite an interesting little dynamic, that. I did really like Bruno and Dorgu the other day together, so I'd like to try and keep them close together if possible. Could go Xerxes left, Højlund up top. Again, you've then got the potential for sort of linking in these positions, but are we manipulating the back four enough? What side needs the ball carrying more as well is the question. And also we need to try and balance the temperaments. Garnacho on the right is someone who is quite aggressive with the way that he plays. So we need to kind of combat that with someone who's going to be a bit calmer on the ball, you'd think. I want Højlund in the right channel. Oh, you're in team's right channel, do you mean? So you mean here, so he's shooting left foot across goal. Yeah, I think that's where he's at his best, in this particular channel here. Dorgu crossing, it's not great. I did warn you guys, Dorgu's not a very good crosser, but he's going to keep trying it. So hopefully, just over time, he sort of enhances that skill and he gets there. It's not time to give up on it. Let's work with him, be patient, hopefully improve it, but he's going to keep trying it. Could they get into the diamond with Bruno, Eriksson, Ugarte, and Xerxes? Xerxes is the 10 in a diamond shape. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Ugarte in, Bruno, Duj, Eriksson drop, Xerxes here. This is why, and I can't express this enough, just how important this message is, particularly when you are reading on social media and the media world in general. Everyone is telling us that the 3-4-3 doesn't work, right? You can't play a back three in the Premier League. You can't play a 3-4-3 in the Premier League. It has to be a 3-5-2, or it has to be a 4-3-3, or a 4... Whatever. I don't know what nonsense everyone's waffling on about. We could look at this 11, and, you know, on paper, we would go, you know what, that's a 3-4-3. But like we've just pointed out there, this could very, very easily be a few different shapes. We could see Ugarte drops deeper, Eriksson drops deeper. Now we've got a flat 3-5-2, which someone like Inter use amazingly well. One of the best teams in Europe use this formation. We are one position change, one player dropping 6 yards away from being in a shape which one of the best teams in the world uses. Come on. But also, like you said, it could be the diamond. Xerxes could go into that space there. Højlund could go up top. We've also spoken about how, in possession, this system doesn't operate that far away from what most back four systems do. Let's call this, okay, it's not ideal, but with these personnel, let's imagine United are playing a 4-2-3-1. So Ugarte, Eriksson double pivot, Xerxes 10, Garnacho right, Bruno left, bish bash bosh. You see this 11 under a different manager, you go United a 4-2-3-1. When you attack, one winger comes inside, the fullback goes round. Would you look at that? We're now into the 3-2 base shape. So this is why when you're looking at this, and again, particularly paying attention with mainstream media, I would say, who are just labeling this as a shape that can't work, please remember how close all of these shapes are. Amarin made this comment. The behaviours from the players within the shape is more important. More important. Certainly when we're trying to get sort of our base level as a team. So try not to get too focused on, like, is it this exact shape? Because like you said there, in a random moment, we can switch to more of a diamond. And people would make an argument that that's quite a good shape. You know, we saw against Everton, in moments this shape worked. Everton were very much 4-4-2, and I've pointed out several times, when you play against a 4-4-2, there's a space here, which we got into, but also a space here, which we got into. So, it can work. It can absolutely work. Sky in shambles. I'm just saying, I think the on-paper side of things is looked at too much. You need to remember, obviously even in these videos and these streams, we look at this and we've got just 11 circles on the screen. But you've got to remember that each of these circles is a human who's going to move, who's going to drop into different positions. So, you know, literally in one attacking move it will change. We'll start off in a 3-4-3, but in this move, Bruno will start high and then drop deep. In that 0.2 seconds, we've changed shape. Right, so that's something to remember. And that is what I like about, if we can get that sort of midfield profile in the front three. I think, yes, we need ball carriers in the front three. Yes, we need players that are direct. We need players that can dribble and carry the ball forward. We often talk about having a winger profile, a Garnacho in the team, right? But there is also that benefit if we do try and get someone more like Christian Eriksen or Bruno that can then drop deep and start to kind of pull teams about a little bit more. Because when you start somewhere and then move into this position, it's different than if you just stood here the whole time. Because the players you're affecting along the way is different. I think this is what United are starting to do recently. It's why I done that video last night. United perfect? No, there's so much wrong with us. But I do think there are glimpses of us improving with little movements off the ball. I think we are gradually, real emphasis on that word, gradually becoming a little bit more difficult to predict. in this phase of the pitch, because I think we can move into different areas, into different zones. And I think when we do that, we are quite difficult to stop. I think genuinely we have some good footballers. So let's do this more. I would love it if tonight we can really see an emphasis on this side of the game. And I think the thing that I personally would cry out for is, let's not do it at 1-0 down, at 2-0 down. Can we try and do it from the start? Can we try and do it right from the start of the match? Try and get on the front foot. It's not easy because we do have limitations deeper and we do play against good teams. We're in the Premier League. But I would love it if we can try and do this a little bit earlier, try and get into these shapes, into these moments, and then see those patterns of movement. Again, I think at the weekend, Dorgu and Bruno combining was really good. It was really good. It's not all doom and gloom. We are seeing certain positives. And like you guys have said, if you can go Bruno and Ugarte in midfield and have those Erikssons and Xerxes, those players that drift, it does give you something. It does give you something. Why do we overcomplicate things with systems? Garnacho is a winger player. Play him there. And Bruno is a 10, so he should play there. I miss Ollie at times. This is what, again, I'm talking about in terms of focusing too much on paper, right? Let me go back just one step. Let's imagine Ahmad is fit, right? Let's imagine Ahmad is fit. And we're playing under Erik ten Hag. And he releases these 11 names: Onana, Dorgu, Yoro, De Ligt, Dalot, Eriksson, Ugarte, Garnacho, Bruno, Ahmad, Højlund. You'd call it a 4-2-3-1, and you'd say Garnacho and Ahmad are on the wings, and you would say in an attacking sense they play here, right? The same 11 comes out under Ruben Amorim, and let's push one of the fullbacks forward, like so. This is the point I'm trying to make. These shapes aren't that far away from each other. It's the movements within the shape that's more important. If we play Garnacho as a wing-back in this game, there are still options or ways for us to get him into a winger-like position. It's not easy. It's not easy, but there are ways of doing it. Everyone's now just crying about Ahmad not being fit. I understand the struggle. Gareth, good morning, my friend. Hope you're well. The problem with playing football on a whiteboard is you run out of chalk. The other problem with that is the chalk doesn't show up very well on the whiteboard. Oh, you then pointed out that, never mind. I'm not joking when I say I much prefer a stream here than pre-game coverage on TV. Thank you very much. I don't very often watch TV coverage anymore because I just find it's a bit limited at times. Bit limited. Against Everton, he played with a back four defending. Excellent point. We have done it in a few games. People have been crying out for it. We should praise it when we see it. We are starting to see that change. In moments, it's almost like a 4-4-2 diamond off the ball. Don't know if you guys have noticed that. Where's Xerxes gone? Where's he gone? He's so evasive. Yeah, there are moments where it is a sort of diamond. We've seen Dalot, because he's been wing-back recently, has been one of the ones responsible for going in there. It's an interesting idea. I think I would prefer a flatter shape when we're defending, but it is interesting. 3-4-3 is just a handy stick to beat him with. It's the new style of play. Sounds insightful, but vague enough to allow almost any idea. Yeah, exactly that. Let me play right wing, I'll do the job. Get yourself in there, mate. Get yourself in there. Would love seeing the back four with Onana in the build-up again. Sir Hawk, my friend, I would do anything for us to use Onana more in the build-up phase. I've kind of sat and defended Amorim a little bit the last couple of days. One area I'm still so critical, you guys are probably bored of it, it's just the build-up phase, man. Like, use Onana, please. He's such a good ball-playing goalkeeper. Use him. Use him. And I don't mean use him to pump it long to Rasmus Højlund, who's not a target man. Can we play short? Can we get a better system going on in these areas, please? Please. Maybe. I don't know. Not sure if it's going to happen. Did we ever settle on the front three? We didn't, did we? We didn't settle on the front three. So let's settle on the front three. What way round are you guys playing this slot? Let's go Bruno deep. Eriksson, Xerxes, Højlund. After everything I've just said, let's talk about this as football on paper for a second. Where would you start these guys? Again, obviously they're gonna move position during the match. Is it just easy to go Højlund up top, Xerxes, Eriksson like that? Is that the easiest strategy? And let's just assume realistically in the game Eriksen's going to drop deeper to make the 3 in midfield. Is that the most likely, do we reckon? With Onana in goal, we will concede again. Poor Andre. Poor Andre. He tries his best. Have you seen Onana recently and you want Amorim to trust him? Honestly, I get what you're saying. But yes, still yes. Eriksen left, Xerxes right, Højlund up top. Yeah, I think that's what I would... I'm just kind of having a second thought. If we go Eriksen right, when he drops, it makes a bit more sense with Ugarte central, perhaps. It's just the only thing I was wondering. But I think either way, again, the type of players you're playing there, they're going to move about enough anyway that we probably see it. I think, if I'm being honest, I don't think we will see this starting 11 tonight. But it is nice to see a different team. You know, I don't know that we're going to see this. But I like that we've come up with something a little bit different. Like I said, we haven't seen Dallo in the back 3 before in one of these streams, I don't think. I think this is the first time we've settled on Garnacho as a wing-back. And I also don't know that we've ever gone for Eriksen there. Certainly not with Xerxes. Also, someone just pointed out, you got a little Danish connection. Dorgi, Eriksen, Højlund. I like it. Onana can't even be trusted in a pass-to-parcel game. Do you remember when we loved Onana, man? For the first 2 months of the season, he was one of our best players, weren't he? Him and Mazraoui, probably. He's just so mistake-prone. He's a bit like... You know how I would describe Onana? He's the Dallo of goalkeepers. You look at him and you think, oh my god, you are so capable of being such a good footballer. And then you just do things, and you're like, hey, what are you doing, mate? That's how I would describe him. That's going to be... Yeah, that's how I describe Onana from now on. The Dallo of goalkeepers. That's my new description for Onana. Anyway, I think what we need to do is... First of all, point out the fact that this is a very different starting 11 to last time. Very different. Hopefully we get out of this position. Where are we? 15th? How high can we go? 13th? Cool. That's fun. Score predictions. Score predictions. What do we reckon? What do we reckon? I said earlier, I'm not too confident for this one. Which might mean we win, because normally I'm quite confident and we play terribly. So this might be the night that we play really well. Because I'm not confident. However, even though I'm not confident, I'm still always, pretty much always, going to predict a United win. Today, I'm going to go clean sheet. Do I believe in a clean sheet? Does anyone know when our last clean sheet was? Let's go, 13th. Yeah, dizzy heights, man. We're climbing now. Whoa. Look at us go. When was the last time we had a clean sheet? I'm just trying to think. Was it a while ago? Can someone quickly fact check that for me, please? We have to get an early goal. I think it's huge, especially at Old Trafford. I think Old Trafford is, you know, naturally home fans aren't as good as away fans, because away fans, they are a bit more passionate, a bit louder and stuff. So I think Old Trafford can be a bit of a weird atmosphere at times. I think weirdly, particularly for nighttime kickoffs, at other clubs is sometimes the opposite. But I think we need the early goal for the crowd. Now, what's deemed an early goal? I don't know. Just give me a goal in the first 30 minutes. Was there a stat the other day where it was like, in the last 16 games, we've scored 1 goal in the first half? Something crazy like that. It's something mental. I don't know if it's quite that extreme. Fulham. Fulham or the Europa League game? One of the two. One of the two. Exactly, and you still rate Onana? I rate Onana's ball playing when he's playing short. We haven't used that, so he can't beat me with that stick just yet. I wish Onana doesn't push the ball back into the danger zone again. Completely agree. He's costing us goals at the moment. Anyway, yeah, score predictions. What we got in the chat. 8-0 United. I mean, yes, please. 3-0 United win with Xerxes and a goal from 2 Garnachos. 2-1 Ipswich, says Bobby the Bob Bob. Bobby the Bob Bob, mate. You should have gone to class. Can't believe you predicted us to lose. But the Højlund goal. We love it. Might scrape 2-1, 1-1, 2-1 last minute win, 2-1 question mark? I like that as a really uncertain prediction. 4-0 to Ipswich, says Zerg. What are we doing? What are we doing here, guys? 8-0. 3-2 win. By the way, guys, again, if you're a member, you can use the emojis in the chat. Josh, welcome back, mate. Give me your prediction. I think you said it earlier, but I can't actually remember what it was. We've also got David in the chat with a super chat. David, thank you very much. Absolute legend. Guys, be like David. He's just a great guy. He says 3-1 Manchester United with the goals. You ready? From Bruno, Garnacho, and Højlund. I'd love it. I'd love it. Why did I welcome Josh back? He's gone 2-0 loss. I'm going 2-0 United. Just to counter Josh, basically. 2-0 United. With the goals coming from Bruno. Just is. It will be Bruno if there's anyone. Bruno's going to grab one. The other is going to be... Is it Højlund Day? I don't think it is. Is it Garnacho Day? When was the last time he scored? I'm going to go Bruno, Garnacho, 2-0 Manchester United. We score on the 39th minute. That's right. And the 70th. 2-0 Manchester United. We climb up to 13th. And we start dreaming about how the title charge might just be on. For those that aren't aware. Sarcasm. Anyway, I think we're pretty much finished there. I like how Chad just pops in just to say the 6-1 loss. Chad, always, mate. Love it. AJ, why don't you commentate the match live on your channel? To be honest, it's a little bit tricky to do analysis while streaming. Because with streaming, obviously, there's a lot of reading the chat and things like that. So doing that whilst also balancing it with... watching the game, but then also having a tactics board up to talk through it, I think would just be tough, to be honest. I don't know how doable it is in terms of analysis. But also I watch all the games with my brother, and that's tradition that I watch the matches with my brother. So it's unlikely that it will happen anytime soon. There might be a one-off game here or there where it might happen at some point in the future, but I think it's unlikely that it will ever be a regular occurrence, I'm afraid. Yeah. Anyway, that's it, right? I think that's it for today's stream. Manchester United are going to win 2-0. Before you leave, like David has said there, if you could please leave a like on the stream, it'd be amazing. If you could subscribe, get notifications on, I'd love you. So please do that. But also linked in the chat right at the top, thanks to David, we have a Discord server for you guys to join, which is completely free. And it's just where we talk constantly about Manchester United, but also soon other teams as well. And if you are interested in other teams, not just United, you just poked myself in the eye. Subscribe to the second channel, also linked at the top of the chat. AJ Talks Tactics. On that channel, we will not be talking about United. So if you are bored of this football club and you want to see how the other teams are doing it, some of them good, some of them bad, you want to see scout reports on different players, not necessarily ones that United are interested in, and also you want coverage of random matches, then that is the place to be. And maybe, just maybe, if you get us to 100 subscribers by the end of the day, just for Josh, we might analyse Reading versus Exeter next Tuesday. We might do that for Josh, alright? So if you could please subscribe to both channels, that would be amazing. I think apart from that, that's all the promo, that's all the plug-in done. So I'm going to shut up. We're going to finish the stream there. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. Shout out everyone with the super chats, the memberships, the renewals of memberships, the gifted memberships, the likes, the subscriptions, everything. Thank you, everyone. You're all absolute legends. And, yeah, I will see you Friday for a stream. Maybe tomorrow, depending on what happens tonight. We will see. Yeah, I'll see you at some point in the next few days. Have a good one. Hopefully, we win.